Hey everyone, it's F. Gardner. I wanted to talk about the most controversial conspiracy theory there is. That's that Christianity was created by the Jews to Judaize Gentiles, to conquer Rome and spread throughout the earth. And that's a really controversial conspiracy theory. It's perhaps, I think it's the most polarizing one of them all. Even hardened conspiracy theorists will get really upset. They'll say, oh, you can question everything. You should always question everything you think you know about reality, about life. But then when you mention that, they get really upset and lash out. And one of my many books that I've written was this book, Kabbalah of the Crocodile. Yeah, so that I write horror novels. This one, it entails that conspiracy theory. It's about a guy falling down that rabbit hole, and he's going to, he finds a synagogue in downtown Chicago, and he encounters Talmudic rabbis that that's their goal, and that the high level rabbis and stuff that they know about this. And yeah, it's a really heavy stuff. And oh, it also entails synagogue tunnels. This was before the synagogue tunnels news story, and I went on all sorts of podcasts about that, how this predicted the synagogue tunnels. Much of the book takes place beneath the synagogue in the tunnels, with the main characters finding out about how Christianity was made by the Jews to Judaize Gentiles, the earth, and about their prophecies and stuff like that. And oh, one of the shows I was on about this, that's why I'm wearing this shirt, Adam Green show, No More News. Yeah, so shout out to Adam Green. I thought, oh, this would be a perfect time to wear this shirt and give him a nice shout out and thank him for having me on his show. His show is one of my favorite shows to watch. So yeah, shout out to Adam Green and No More News. Yeah, everybody get Adam's shirts. As you can see, they only come in Chad sizes. Yeah, so no virgin sizes. That means Stu Peters, if you're watching this, yeah, does it come in your size? But anyway, yeah, this conspiracy theory, it's unbelievably controversial, unbelievably polarizing. People who disagree, Christians will lash out much of the time when they encounter this, and people that talk about it. And I was wondering, what's something, I've been on Adam's show, I've been on No More News, what's something I could tell Adam that would be helpful to him? He's knowledgeable about this. He's a big platform and he talks about this stuff all the time, but what's something that he might not know? And it occurred to me, so I'm Buddhist. I converted from Catholicism. I even used to be a Catholic seminarian. I converted from Catholicism to Buddhism, and I'm in a lot of Eastern circles, religion, and when that happens, you kind of talk to people with similar ideas. And what I'm getting at, it's quite common for people in Dharmic circles and Eastern religious circles to actually know all about this conspiracy theory, this rabbit hole. And it's usually Westerners who are unfamiliar. And yeah, so that it's that. And I've been to Japan a few times in the past, and it's happened where I'm talking to someone who's Japanese, and they know about this rabbit hole and the historical context. So the Japanese, culturally, they're usually really polite and reserved, and they don't want to upset people. But if you're talking to them about this stuff and they I guess open up, they'll tell you that they know about this. And historically, that is part of why Christianity was like historically like banned in Japan for a period of time. That was part of why. Like, I think a lot of people know that movie Silence, right? About like the Jesuits in Japan. Okay, well, part of the historical context for why that happened, if you read like the old documents and stuff, the Japanese officials like, that were like Buddhist and Shinto, they were suspicious of the Jewish elements in Christianity, and that they thought if this spreads in Japan, it's too foreign, that they will lose their traditions, their religious traditions and culture. So that's very similar to the stuff Adam Green talks about on his show No More News. And I'm wondering if he knows about this. He's a super smart guy. If he's unfamiliar, I'm sure he'll like figure all of that out, the documents and stuff that I'm talking about. A number of things. Like I think that they believed that Jesus was based on the Buddha, and they also combined that elements of Krishna from like Hinduism were combined, and even Brahma, the god in Hinduism, that Yahweh resembled him in many ways, and that ultimately I think they even used the word that they thought Christianity was a vehicle to Judaize nations. They used the term vehicle a real lot in Dharmic religions, like like Mahayana Buddhism, like the Great Vehicle, or Vajrayana Buddhism, the Diamond or Thunderbolt vehicle. Yeah, so like that, you use the word vehicle, and they said that it was a vehicle, that Christianity was a vehicle to Judaize nations. That it's a lot like what Adam Green says. I don't think they use the word Trojan horse, but it's the same idea. Like a Trojan horse, you introduce it to a culture, and then the culture adopts that religion, Christianity, and it becomes Judaized. They lose the culture and old religions and old gods and old forms of worship. So, in a nutshell, I really think Adam Green should look into what I'm referring to, that stuff, the hidden Christian stuff in Japan from the 17th century, for when that was going on. They referred to hidden Christians because they had to hide that they were Christian, and that they would implement like crosses and stuff on Buddhist statues of Buddhas and gods, bodhisattvas, Buddhist deities, and that they would disguise them. Like, for example, like one might be a Buddhist deity, but they would disguise it as Mary, for example. So the historical context, not a lot of people know that, but people in Japan know that. And if you talk to them, they often tune you in, fill you in. And there's historical documents about all this, about how the Japanese officials, monks, priests and stuff, for Buddhism and Shinto, that they were suspicious of that. And because like Buddhism in Japan, almost everyone who's Buddhist is also Shinto. That's because, Shinto, you worship the kami and your ancestors, and it's more about prayers for life on earth and stuff like that, and whereas Buddhism is more about the afterlife. It's very similar to how in China, Buddhism is dual practiced alongside with Taoism. So they're both compatible. It's not like one or the other, like how it is with Christianity. That's the thing, Christianity doesn't allow anything like that. That's part of why the Japanese historically viewed an incompatibility there, that they thought it wasn't, it was totally incompatible. That was part of why it was banned, and they were suspicious of all the Jewish stuff, and that it would cause it to, that they feared that it would cause Japan to lose its culture and old gods and old religions. That is a huge rabbit hole that a lot of people in Dharmic, Eastern religious circles, Buddhist, Hindu, etc., that they know about, especially ones that were culturally raised in it. Here, I converted to Buddhism, so I had to come about that, stumble upon all that, teach myself that. I had to learn it. Whereas people in Japan, who's, let's say, culturally Shinto Buddhist, they might already catch wind of that from others. It's more common. So like like I said, in the West, a lot of people that know about this conspiracy theory in the West happen to be pagan. I've noticed that, like Norse and stuff like that. Not as much into Eastern religions. So that's, I guess, a difference, a distinction, and people in the West are largely just totally unfamiliar. They don't know about it, or they don't know the historical reasons, the arguments, positions, and they just get mad. They just lash out. And it's unfortunate, but that's what happens much of the time. Anyway, yep, shout out to Adam Green. You're the best. Thanks for having me on your show. And I thought I'd do this episode to give you this information. Could be a cool idea for you to talk about sometime. Oh, yeah, and this book, yeah, this is the book I talked about when I was on the show. It's Kabbalah of the Crocodile. Yep, takes place in Chicago, and is all about this conspiracy theory. I've got a lot of books. You could read them all in any order, though. There's no required reading order. Yeah, thanks again, Adam, for having me on your show to talk about my book. And I'm aware you have a book of your own coming out. And I think you said you're calling it The Jesus Deception. F. Gardner is very much looking forward to reading that. I plan on reading your whole book while wearing your shirt. This has become F. Gardner's favorite shirt. All right, peace out, everybody. Bye.